So, have you ever had a dream where you're running from something, running away from something, running towards something? You wake up panicking in a sweat or extremely troubled because you have no idea what's about to happen, but something's telling you this ain't good. We're about to talk about that today. My name is Nick, and I've had over 33 years of dreaming that I can remember, and I actually love dreaming and dream interpretation. I feel like dreams play a huge role in our everyday life, just as big as any other way of influencing it. And I think the dreams are real. Not all are as real as some, or not all need to be based in truth, but every dream you dream, I believe, has some sort of significance, and or at least is trying to communicate some type of message. So if you've ever never seen my channel before, I am reading with James. My name is not James. It's just what I like to read is the King James Bible. But I love doing interpretations of dreams for people to help bring you some peace of mind. So let's go ahead and dig in. If you guys have seen any of my shorts, you know that I will post different messages. And someone responded, her name was July, I believe. And she said, what does it mean if I'm running away from my mom in my dream? Now, I'm going to be able to answer this question in a general sense, but then I'm going to also help you guys unpack this in a broader sense so that whether you are running away from your mom, a dog, running towards a prize, whatever the case may be, you're going to get a basic idea of what this dream means. Now, I will say this before we start, context is king. I have no idea what you dreamt, and if I were to talk to you face to face, I would ask you probably 15 to 20 questions before I would even make an attempt to answer what I believe the dream is saying to you. However, anytime you dream, there are always basic principles, right? Basic principles means there's a specific theme that you should follow. If you can identify that theme, you can have a good idea of what the dream is basically trying to say. If you are running away from something in the dream, what's the most general word you can think of to describe that action? Go ahead. All right. There's a lot of different words you could use, but the most general term of running away from something is to avoid it. And running away from it is just the method that you're using to avoid something. You could be hiding, that's another way of avoiding something. You could take a detour, that's another way of avoiding something. Or you could simply be running away from something. Either way, you're moving away from it, and that means that you're trying to avoid it. Now, when you want to ask the question about what mom means, it's better to ask what in your life right now that is it that you are trying to run away from. Since you saw your mom, and I don't know what the relationship is like to your mom, what I would say to you is what in your personal sphere of influence are you personally trying to avoid? This could be an altercation. This could be a responsibility. Moms, if it's not personal, and this is another thing too, because dreams can be interpreted social. That is, what's the social meaning? It can be personal. It can be generic. It can be an idiom. There are so many meanings behind one person in a dream that you can't just say, this really means your mom. That's most likely, to be honest, is almost 10% or less of the time literal. What I would say is this: there could be something that is actually nurturing for you, which is what a mom typically does. Your mom may not have been that, but the idea of a mom in general is someone who nurtures. So you can ask yourself, is there something this day that I dreamt this? Was there something yesterday or something today I'm going to encounter that I'm avoiding that actually is going to be nurturing for me, right? Am I going to be starting a new diet would be an example. I've been thinking about fasting. I've been thinking about doing organic or vegan food. And the thought of it is just like, when you get the chance to choose it, you pretty much push the plate away and go for the beefsteak, right? That's an idea of what a general term of what a mom could mean. Something that's nurturing or nourishing to you. I'm supposed to be sleeping more and I'm not getting into bed on time. Every time it comes time to get in the bed, I find time to do something else. That would be a way of avoiding or running away from something that could be nurturing you. Now, let's take a personal example. Let's say you didn't have the best mom at all, and maybe your mom or somebody in your life, maybe not your mom, but somebody in your life who has a personal relationship with you and wants to try to communicate with you or rebuild that relationship with you, that person is trying to reach out to you in real life. In the dream, you see yourself running away from your mom because you and your mom don't have a good barrier of communication or relationship. It could simply be saying, hey, you're avoiding this person. You're actively avoiding this person, right? That's another meaning. And the list literally goes on and on and on. So if somebody were to stop me in a crowd and say, Nick, can you please interpret this for me? This dream is so troubling to me. I would say, well, listen, first off, I'm not the guy who can interpret dreams. And there's a lot of information I'm going to need to know. First off, what's your relationship like with your mom? Second of all, when did you dream this dream? Third of all, what have you been avoiding? I want you to close your eyes and think of one thing in your personal life that you have been avidly avoiding as of this week. Tell me what it is. Let me know what it is. And we would go from there asking series of questions to peel back layers. But that's, the funny thing is the dream interpretation is not even important. It's the action plan you're going to put in place after you've dreamed the dream and understood the dream so that you can actually have success and not be troubled in your dream anymore. There's a scripture I love, which is when Daniel interprets the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. After the tree, there's a whole tree that got cut off. They sealed it off. And Nebuchadnezzar woke up in a deep sweat and was like, what is going on? I'm in trouble. Somebody called Daniel, the guy who can interpret dreams for me. So Daniel comes in. Daniel sweats over the dream for a while. But what Daniel does after he interprets the dream is he tells him, King, this is what you should do so that the reality of what the dream is saying won't come to pass anymore. So what I would say is this. In a very general sense, anybody who is dreaming of running away from a mom, a dad, a parent, a gangster, a bad guy, it doesn't matter what it is that you're running away from, though it will help you indicate what area of your life you really, really need to address, because now it's affecting you subconsciously. Now you're going to sleep thinking about these things, right? So what I would say is do a survey of your life and tell me in your own personal life of some relationships that you are purposely avoiding, that you feel like you should avoid. And that's where you want to start. And then we would just enter into more of a counseling session and say, look, let's talk about that relationship. What's the good? What's the bad? What's the hurt? What's the desired outcome? And that's how you would go about that. But to answer your question, thank you so much for writing in. If you have a dream of you running away from something, it generally means you're trying to avoid something. The next step you should do, once you realize that you're trying to avoid something, don't panic, don't freak out. You have to do a self-assessment of your life and say, what area of my life, which people in my life are pursuing me and I'm personally avoiding, right?